The Science of Gratitude. Introduction. According to Cicero, gratitude is more than the greatest virtue, it is also the mother of all other remaining virtues. In many respects, research supports this sentiment. The experience of gratitude encourages us to appreciate what is good in our lives and compels us to pay this goodness forward. People with more grateful dispositions report being happier and more satisfied with their lives. Gratitude also functions as social glue that nurtures the formation of new friendships, enriches our existing relationships, and underlies the very foundation of human society. But what exactly is gratitude? Where does gratitude come from? Why do some people seem to be naturally more grateful than others? And are there ways we can further cultivate our feelings of gratitude? These questions and others will be explored in this paper. This paper presents an overview of the science of gratitude, a relatively new field, focusing on papers published in the last 20 years. During that time, the number of studies of gratitude has increased significantly. These studies primarily emanate from the discipline of psychology, although relevant studies from other fields, including neuroscience, ecology, sociology, and medicine, will also be discussed. The paper is divided into 9 main sections, including this introductory section. The next section briefly defines gratitude and includes a short history of the science of gratitude. The third explores gratitude's evolutionary, biological, and developmental roots. The fourth section focuses on the individual factors that may influence a person's propensity to experience gratitude, while the fifth section focuses on the social and cultural factors that influence people's experiences and expressions of gratitude. The sixth and seventh sections discuss the individual and social benefits of gratitude, respectively, including its possible benefits for health, happiness, and relationships. The eighth section discusses various scientifically designed gratitude activities or interventions that researchers have developed in order to increase people's feelings and expressions of gratitude. The final section outlines some limitations to this research and presents promising future directions in the science of gratitude. What is gratitude? Defining gratitude. Religious traditions including Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism all encourage cultivating gratitude as an important moral virtue. For millennia, gratitude has been a popular topic among philosophers. Cicero said gratitude is not only the greatest one but also the mother of all the other remaining virtues. Seneca ranked ingrates below thieves, rapists and adulterers. Hume wrote, "Of all crimes that human creatures are capable of committing, the most horrid and unnatural is ingratitude." And Adam Smith believed that gratitude was vital for maintaining a society based on goodwill. Thus gratitude infuses our religious, cultural, and scholarly traditions, which generally maintain that gratitude is important for a person to be good and moral, and a citizen of the world. But what exactly is gratitude? It depends on whom you ask. Gratitude has been conceptualized as an emotion, a virtue, a moral sentiment, a motive, a coping response, a skill, and an attitude. It is all of these and more, write Robert Emmons and Cheryl Crumpler in a 2000 paper that examined the empirical research on gratitude. Similarly, studies surveying attitudes about gratitude among the general public have reported a wide range of gratitude experiences. Thus, gratitude can mean different things to different people in different contexts. Yet in their influential 2003 paper, Emmons and Michael McCulloch posit that gratitude can be generally distilled to a two-step cognitive process: 1. Recognizing that one has obtained a positive outcome, and 2. Recognizing that there is an external source for this positive outcome. Because many of our benefits come from other people, gratitude is often thought of as an interpersonal or other-oriented emotion. However, Emmons and McCulloch assert, people can also experience gratitude toward God, animals, fate, coincidence, nature, the weather, avoiding a mistake, and more. Furthermore, there is evidence that gratitude can be thought of as an emotional experience with 3 hierarchical levels: affective trait, mood, and emotion. These 3 levels of gratitude can influence one another. Affective traits, as defined by psychologist Erica Rosenberg, are stable predispositions towards certain types of emotional responding. Thus, Some people may have a more grateful disposition. Moods, according to Rosenberg, wax and wane, fluctuating throughout or across days. And emotions are more short-term reactions to particular events, for example, feeling grateful after receiving a gift. A study of this hierarchical model of gratitude concluded that grateful moods are created both through top-down effects, that is, the effects of personality and affective traits, bottom-up effects, that is, the effects of discrete interpersonal and emotional episodes, and the interaction of these effects. This study found that grateful moods set the stage for more frequent and pervasive grateful emotions, yet people with more trait gratitude were more resistant to fluctuations in their daily grateful moods or emotions caused by particular events. Many of the studies covered in this paper discuss trait gratitude, also called dispositional gratitude, while others focus on gratitude as an emotion or mood. Whenever possible, we try to note the type of gratitude being examined in a particular study. A brief history of the science of gratitude. While conceptualizing gratitude has historically been an area of interest for philosophers and religious scholars, until recently it had received considerably less attention from scientists. A handful of sociologists and psychologists conducted foundational work on conceptualizing gratitude as a phenomenon that could be defined and studied. But research on how people benefit from gratitude, and ways to cultivate it, were not particularly popular topics of study until Robert Emmons, Michael McCulloch, and colleagues published a series of landmark papers, reporting on the results of research largely funded by the John Templeton Foundation, in the early 2000s. Since then, and thanks in large part to JTF-funded efforts such as the Expanding the Science and Practice of Gratitude, ESPG, project, the field of gratitude research has blossomed. According to the PsycInfo database, in 2000, when JTF was just beginning to fund studies of gratitude, only 3 peer-reviewed papers published that year listed gratitude as a major subject or keyword. That number grew to 21 papers published in 2008, and to 111 published in 2015. Further evidence that JTF funding has been fundamental to the growth of the field comes from the large number of papers that have cited Emmons and McCulloch's early gratitude papers. For example, more than 1,100 works reference their 2001 paper, Is Gratitude a Moral Effect? Their 2003 study, Counting Blessings versus Burdens, an experimental investigation of gratitude and subjective well-being in daily life, has garnered more than 2,300 citations. How gratitude relates to other emotions. Several studies have examined how gratitude relates to other emotions. Importantly, studies have found that gratitude and indebtedness, or obligation, concepts that were often previously considered overlapping constructs, can sometimes be experimentally separated. For example, studies have found that people feel significantly more grateful when they know a helper has benevolent intentions than when a favor is given due to ulterior motives, and a recipient's gratitude decreases and indebtedness increases when their benefactor expresses a greater expectation of repayment. Additionally, more self-focused people tend to experience more indebtedness and less gratitude. Other studies have attempted to distinguish gratitude from other positive emotions, such as elevation, the emotion that one feels when witnessing moral actions. Work by Sarah Algo and Jonathan Haidt, for example, suggests that the 3 other praising emotions, elevation, gratitude, and admiration, can be separated based on the outcomes that these emotions motivate. Elevation, a response to moral excellence, motivates prosocial and affiliative behavior. Gratitude motivates improved relationships with benefactors, and admiration motivates self-improvement. Gratitude is also often conflated with appreciation. One study defines appreciation as acknowledging the value and meaning of something, an event, a person, a behavior, an object, and feeling a positive emotional connection to it, and treats gratitude as one of 8 key facets of appreciation. The gratitude aspect of appreciation refers to noticing and acknowledging a benefit that has been received, whether from another person or deity, and feeling thankful for the efforts, sacrifices, and actions of another. Another study found that appreciation made a significant unique contribution to life satisfaction after controlling for both other personality factors and trait gratitude, a result that suggests appreciation may be worthy of further consideration in its own right, independent of gratitude. However, yet another study found that people's levels of appreciation and their dispositional gratitude levels are highly correlated with one another. This result suggests that appreciation and gratitude may be too interrelated to be considered separate traits. Thus, the scientific distinctions between appreciation and gratitude are still a matter of debate and discussion. Individual benefits associated with gratitude. Gratitude is associated with many benefits for individuals, including better physical and psychological health, greater happiness and life satisfaction, less materialism, and more. Physical health. While still a new avenue of research, a growing number of studies suggest that gratitude may make people physically healthier and adopt healthier lifestyles. Evidence that a grateful disposition is associated with better health. In a 2010 review, Wood, Froh, and Garrity wrote, almost no studies have been conducted into gratitude and physical health, and this remains a key understudied area of research. But the studies that do exist, mainly published since that review, suggest there may be a connection. A 1995 study found that when participants felt appreciation, an emotion related to gratitude, their heart rate variability, an indicator of good heart health, improved. Other studies have found that more grateful people report better physical health, are moderately more likely to report engaging in healthy activities, are more willing to seek help for health concerns, and sleep better and longer. There has been a burgeoning interest, thanks in large part to JTF funding, through the Expanding the Science and Practice of Gratitude project, in exploring how gratitude may be particularly helpful for people who have suffered from, or are at risk for, some form of heart failure. A study of people with heart failure found that people with higher dispositional gratitude reported better sleep, less fatigue, and lower levels of cellular inflammation, and a study of patients who had had a heart attack or chest pain found that patients who had higher levels of optimism and gratitude 2 weeks after their cardiac event also reported greater improvements in emotional well-being 6 months later. A longitudinal study called the Gratitude Research in Acute Coronary Events, GRACE, study found that higher levels of trait gratitude and optimism were associated with biomarkers indicating less inflammation and improved blood vessel function 2 weeks, though not 6 months, after patients were hospitalized for chest pain or heart attack. While a patient's optimism was associated with greater physical activity 6 months after hospitalization and reduced rates of being readmitted to the hospital for heart problems, patients' gratitude was not associated with their physical activity level or hospital readmissions during this period. However, both optimism and gratitude were associated with higher self-reported adherence to medical recommendations, suggesting that gratitude may help patients better recover from heart attacks and other serious heart problems by encouraging them to follow their doctor's instructions. A few studies have explored whether gratitude may be linked to benefits for patients with various other chronic medical conditions. In one study, chronic pain patients with higher trait gratitude reported lower depression and anxiety and better sleep. A longitudinal study of patients with one of two chronic illnesses, arthritis or inflammatory bowel disease, found that patients with high trait gratitude at the beginning of the study also had fewer symptoms of depression. That was still the case 6 months later. Finally, a recent preliminary study suggests that gratitude might help prevent chronic illness. This study found an association between stronger feelings of gratitude and lower levels of hemoglobin HbA1c, a biomarker involved in blood sugar control. High levels of HbA1c have been associated with chronic kidney disease, a number of cancers, and diabetes. Evidence that gratitude interventions may improve physical health. Can interventions designed to increase gratitude also improve health and healthy habits? Emmons and McCulloch found that undergraduate participants who were randomly assigned to write down 5 things they were grateful for, known as the Counting Blessings practice, or gratitude journaling, weekly for 10 weeks reported spending significantly more time exercising and had fewer physical complaints than did participants who were assigned to write down either 5 hassles or 5 daily events. However, a second trial in which college students were asked to count their blessings daily for 14 days did not find differences in physical symptoms or time spent exercising, and a study of middle school students found that those who completed a similar counting blessings activity for 2 weeks did not report having fewer negative physical health symptoms than did those who wrote about their hassles or those in a control group who didn't perform any activity, possibly suggesting that a 2-week window is too short to see such changes. A handful of studies have found evidence that gratitude exercises may be able to improve sleep. While the study that asked college students to keep a gratitude journal for 2 weeks did not see improvements in their sleep, a study of people with neuromuscular disease found that those who kept a daily gratitude journal for 21 days reported sleeping significantly longer at night and felt significantly more refreshed upon waking than people who were assigned to a control condition that involved filling out daily surveys, though there were not differences between the groups in other physical health symptoms or health behaviors. And a larger study that assigned young women to keep a gratitude journal, write about daily events, or to a no-activity control group found that the women who kept a gratitude journal for 2 weeks reported a small but significant improvement in their daily sleep quality compared to the people in the other two groups. A study of heart failure patients who were randomly assigned either to write about things for which they were grateful each day for 8 weeks or to a control group that did not do this intervention found that patients in the gratitude group reported improved trait gratitude and reduced biomarkers of inflammation. Patients in the gratitude group also showed more parasympathetic heart rate variability, a sign of improving heart health, during a one-time gratitude journal activity that both groups performed after the 8 weeks, though there was no difference in general resting heart rate variability between the two groups. After the 8-week intervention, this suggests that a gratitude journal might be a good addition to the care provided to heart patients, although larger randomized control trials will be needed. To determine whether gratitude journaling, or other gratitude interventions, can lead to lasting physiological and/or psychological changes in cardiac patients' well-being. Many more studies have examined possible connections between gratitude and various elements of well-being. Evidence that a grateful disposition is associated with life satisfaction, optimism, subjective well-being, positive affect, and happiness. People with higher dispositional gratitude report having higher levels of several elements of psychological well-being, including more life satisfaction, happiness, optimism, hope, and positive affect, mood. Daily feelings of gratitude are also associated with elements of well-being. A daily diary study found positive relationships between daily feelings of gratitude and feelings of both hedonic, related to pleasure, and eudaimonic, related to meaning and self-realization, well-being. Additionally, feelings of gratitude during one day were positively associated with hedonic well-being, though not to eudaimonic well-being, the next day. Some studies have found associations between specific types of gratitude and well-being. In one study, university students who reported more higher-order gratitude, which includes thanking others, thanking God, cherishing blessings, appreciating hardships, and cherishing the moment, also reported more life satisfaction and positive affect, even after controlling for their gender, age, religion, personality traits, and dispositional gratitude. Another study found that subjective well-being increased linearly with the number of components of gratitude on which a person scored highly, including their understanding of when gratitude is due, their grateful emotions, attitudes towards gratitude, and gratitude-related behaviors, suggesting that there may be multiple facets of gratitude that can lead to increased happiness. When it comes to gratitude's relationship with life satisfaction, there may be cultural differences. A study of 12,439 U.S. and 445 Swiss adults that looked at links between various character strengths and life satisfaction found that gratitude, along with zest, hope, and love, was one of the strongest and most direct predictors of life satisfaction among adults in the U.S., but was lower on the list for Swiss adults. Perseverance was the most robust predictor of life satisfaction among the Swiss. Evidence that a grateful disposition may counteract materialism. It stands to reason that gratitude, with its inherent focus on people and things outside the self, may make people less prone to materialism, and a few studies have found that people with more grateful dispositions are less materialistic. In one study, the relationship between gratitude and materialism could be explained by people's levels of life satisfaction. Grateful people may be less materialistic because they feel more satisfied with their lives, and thus, ostensibly, don't feel much of a need to acquire new things in order to feel more satisfied. Indeed, an experiment where participants were induced to feel more gratitude led to higher feelings of life satisfaction and lower materialism. Another study found that more materialistic undergraduate students reported less life satisfaction, which could be explained by their lower levels of gratitude, while a follow-up study found that more materialistic people who were also very grateful did not show lower life satisfaction, suggesting that gratitude may be able to buffer the otherwise negative relationship between materialism and life satisfaction. Evidence that a grateful disposition may protect against burnout. Dispositional gratitude may help protect people from various forms of burnout. One small study of school teachers found that more dispositional gratitude was associated with less evidence of burnout, while a study of mental health professionals found that workplace-specific gratitude, how grateful employees reported feeling for their coworkers, supervisors, clients, and job, was negatively associated with burnout. Athletes with higher dispositional gratitude and higher gratitude related to playing their sport report feeling less burned out with their sport. However, a longitudinal study of athletes found that more dispositional gratitude at the beginning of the study did not predict less burnout 3 months later. There was, however, a reverse relationship. Athletes reporting more burnout at the beginning of the study reported less gratitude 3 months later. Evidence that gratitude interventions may increase well-being. Since evidence links gratitude to a host of psychological benefits, it stands to reason that activities encouraging people to feel more grateful might produce similar benefits. Many studies have explored this possibility. Emmons and McCulloch's 2003 randomized trial of their Counting Blessings intervention found that people who wrote about their blessings weekly for 10 weeks reported feeling more optimistic about the following week. They also felt better about their overall lives than did participants who wrote about daily hassles or ordinary events in their lives, although there were not differences between groups in their general positive or negative mood. A second trial found that participants who counted their blessings daily for 14 days reported higher levels of positive effect and were more likely to report helping someone. Other studies have found that variations of the Counting Blessings intervention improved people's life satisfaction and self-esteem, alleviated symptoms of depression and boosted positive effect, though only in participants who had high depressive symptoms to begin with, increased optimism and happiness, decreased body dissatisfaction in women, and increased the trust and positive emotions felt during an economic transaction. People who completed a 3 good things variation of the Counting Blessings intervention, in which they wrote down 3 things that went well and identified the causes of those good things, reported increased happiness 6 months after the week-long intervention. Other studies of the 3 good things activity have found that participants who tried it reported enhanced subjective well-being and better access to positive memories, as well as reduced stress and a greater sense of flourishing in life. But not all studies have found such positive results from gratitude journaling. A relatively small study comparing the effectiveness of counting blessings with an intervention that asked people to visualize their best possible selves, along with a control activity in which people wrote about details of their day, found that completing any of the activities, even the control activity, immediately reduced negative effect in the participants, but only the best possible selves visualization immediately increased positive effect. In their paper, the researchers suggest that participants may have found the gratitude activity more challenging and less enjoyable than imagining their future. Interestingly, another study found that students who counted blessings once a week reported greater improvements in well-being than those who counted blessings 3 days a week. In fact, the students who counted blessings 3 times a week actually experienced a decrease in their well-being, as did those in the no-intervention control group. This was a single study, but it may suggest that counting blessings less frequently may make the activity more meaningful and sustainable over the long term, perhaps because, as the researchers speculate, one becomes numb to the novelty and benefits of counting one's blessings if it's performed more frequently. A handful of studies have focused on the impact of writing and delivering letters of gratitude on happiness and well-being, particularly letters addressed to people from whom one has received a gift of some kind but whom one has never properly thanked. In one study, people who were asked to write a gratitude letter once a week for 3 weeks were significantly happier, less depressed, and more satisfied with their lives at the end of the intervention. In another study, participants who were assigned to write a gratitude letter that they were told would be sent to the person they were thanking reported increased positive effect and decreased negative effect, but these effects were not as large as they were for people who were assigned to think about or write an essay about someone for whom they were grateful. The researchers speculate that an element of social anxiety may have dampened the effect of the gratitude letters. In contrast, another study, led by psychologist Martin Seligman, found that participants who wrote a letter of gratitude, and read it in person to their benefactor, the gratitude visit, showed significantly greater happiness and decreased symptoms of depression 1 month later. However, it's important to note that the subjects in this study were recruited from Seligman's website for his book Authentic Happiness and were told that they were participating in a study intended to increase participants' well-being. This process for recruiting participants may have led to self-selection effects, which could help explain why the results reported in this study were stronger than those from other studies. Potential mechanisms for how gratitude supports well-being. There are several potential mechanisms for how gratitude may positively influence a person's happiness or psychological well-being, some of which are presented below. Preventing hedonic adaptation. One possible explanation is that gratitude counteracts hedonic adaptation, when people acclimate to positive developments in their lives and thus do not enjoy them as much, by encouraging people to deliberately focus on what is good in their lives rather than take them for granted. Gratitude promotes the savoring of positive life experiences and situations so that maximum satisfaction and enjoyment are distilled from one's circumstances, suggests psychologists Sonia Lyubomirsky, Kenan Sheldon, and David Scotty in a paper. This practice may directly counteract the effects of hedonic adaptation. By helping people extract as much appreciation from the good things in their lives as possible. Gratitude may broaden and build. Another possibility is that gratitude adheres to Barbara Fredrickson's broaden and build theory of positive emotions. This theory posits that positive emotions can broaden a person's array of thoughts and actions. For example, joy encourages people to play, push their limits, and be creative, and also build a person's psychological and social resources on which they can rely in difficult times. Gratitude appears to broaden people's modes of thinking as they creatively consider a wide array of actions that might benefit others, writes Fredrickson. Although grateful individuals most typically act prosocially simply to express their gratitude, over time the actions inspired by gratitude build and strengthen social bonds and friendships. A study of people's coping styles may support the idea that gratitude broadens and builds similarly to other positive emotions. This study found positive associations between trait gratitude and a number of positive strategies for coping with challenges, such as seeking support, reinterpreting situations through a positive lens, and engaging in problem solving, and negative associations between gratitude and negative coping strategies such as substance use, denial, and self-blame. Canceling out the negative. Yet another way that a positive emotion such as gratitude can build one's coping capacity is through undoing the effects of negative emotions. Gratitude may combat the negative emotional processes that underpin unhappiness, burnout, and many psychological disorders, as research has indicated that within momentary experience, positive emotions are incompatible with negative emotions and that positive emotions can lessen the attention one pays to negative information. A set of 8 studies found evidence that gratitude is negatively associated with symptoms of depression. Further analysis attributed this relationship to the fact that when people experience gratitude, they recast negative experiences in a more positive light and experience more positive emotion, both of which reduce the pain of negative emotions. Motivating self-improvement. However, a recent paper provides theoretical and experimental evidence that gratitude may lead to improved well-being in part by inducing negative emotions. This paper suggests that expressing gratitude motivates people to put effort into a range of positive behaviors, example, exercising more, helping others, building relationships, that lead to self-improvement, and it does this by inducing positive emotions, elevation, humility, connectedness, as well as negative ones. Indebtedness, guilt, and discomfort. We argue that the negative emotions elicited by gratitude may motivate individuals to try to improve themselves in order to reduce those negative feelings, write the researchers. Increasing self-esteem. Another study found evidence that trait gratitude may have positive effects on well-being partially via its ability to increase self-esteem. When a person feels grateful, they often view themselves as benefiting from another person's generosity, leading them to feel valued. This increases self-esteem, which in turn leads to higher levels of psychological well-being. Helping people meet their basic psychological needs. A longitudinal study found that gratitude was associated with relatedness and autonomy, two of the three basic psychological needs, over time, and that all three psychological needs, relatedness, autonomy, and competence, predicted gratitude over time, suggesting that there exists a dual upward spiral between gratitude and specific basic psychological needs.